Order, the Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees, regular meeting, February 10th, 2025. Clerk Hernecki, please call the roll.
Trustee Alfano. Trustee Cordova.
Here.
Trustee Corkery. Trustee Kozar.
Here.
Trustee Kumar.
Here.
Trustee Patrick.
Here.
President Pizone.
Here, and if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to make the decisions that will affect the staff, directors, and residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen. Okay, item 3, amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments proposed? Okay, seeing none. Public comments on agenda items. Anyone
Have
signed up?
nobody.
Okay, anyone public comments on agenda items? Okay, seeing none. Public comments on non-agenda items.
Tina Constados. I just want to read off a list, and I know some of this needs to go to departments or committees, but I just told residents who reached out that I would rattle this list off for everybody. They're just looking for updates on things. South Yale Street, south side of the Prairie Path, they're asking why it hasn't been repaired. South Wisconsin Street, both sides of the Prairie Path, supposed to be done in 2022, but has not. South Michigan Street, south side of the Prairie Path, has not been done. Single-family residence definition enforcement. Single-family residence is being used as apartments, living. I think we kind of already went over that. The bridge on Villa that goes over the creek needs major repairs. 2 people said that. New train station update. Well, we got that from Mr. Harline today. Timing of the stoplights on St. Charles and Addison and Ardmore and Villa. They want to know if we can change the timing. Need a sidewalk opening on the west side of Ardmore at High Ridge and Van Buren. Burning of any materials in yards. Is there any regulations on what you can burn and can't burn, fines, etc.? Resident needed a permit information on previous permits for the property, and staff told her there is none on file prior to 2017. They'd like to know where you go to get that information. Open Chatham and Harvard, again, to help alleviate the increased volume of traffic on Yale. Lighted stop signs at Division and Summit have had a few accidents knocking down street signs there. And the last one is 3 native plant pods next to the Prairie Path directly by Ovaltine are in dire need of intervention. So I just wanted to read that. Maybe we could get some answers for some of the residents to their questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Steve Delarosa, I'm asking for an exception to the readings relating to Village Matters tonight, to the agenda items, because I didn't get up quick enough to speak for the
Oh.
agenda items.
Oh, okay, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you, appreciate it. So the redevelopment agreement pending before the board tonight with Marquette Real Estate Investment LLC, I'm wondering if this agreement has any specific statements dealing with nonconformance within the agreement. And if so, can they be read out tonight to alleviate any concerns that village residents may have because they weren't aware of what the agreement contains? So I'm asking that that can be done tonight before we proceed with the agreement, so village residents can have some assurances that they have some type of ability to bring action against this firm for nonconformance with the agreement. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
JP Hackbaum, 54 East Division. Similar to Tina, I have people reaching out to me to make some public comments on the record. Back when Target was built in 2019, they closed off parts of Chatham and Harvard north of North Avenue. And this was done because of concern of traffic going down those streets, but there's been an adverse effect of that traffic being diverted to Yale. And it has created a more dangerous situation that attracts more speeding traffic and people not used to the area, so they were just driving through stop signs. And there has been some like dangerous close calls, and some citizens are concerned about those roads being closed off. On a second note, we have a big snowstorm coming on the way, and I'm already seeing people on social media asking for help with shoveling, so maybe the village could put out like a notice to have residents look out for each other and help people shovel driveways and sidewalks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. No proclamations, presentations, or appointments, so item 9 is our consent agenda. Bill listings for the week of January 27th, 2025, in the amounts of $512,231.05 and $82,612.68. Item B is approval of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole and the Village Board of Trustees meeting on January 27th.
There's a late edit for the amounts on the,
Oh.
sorry, the bill listings.
Okay.
We added that today.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, so there's a bill listing, the $512,231.05, $82,612.68, and February 3rd, 2025, in the amount of $56,529.77. Thank you. Item B was the approval of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole and Village Board of Trustees meetings held on January 27th, 2025. And item C is an ordinance adopting the 2025 zoning map. Each year, the village is required to publish a zoning map by March 31st, per ILCS Section 11-13-19, and staff recommends approval of adopting the 2025 zoning map. And do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Cordova?
Yep.
Do we have a second? Trustee Kumar? Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Hennecke, please.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item 12A, is an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, approving a right-of-way vacation and a final plat of subdivision for the property located at 231 East North Avenue, Villa Park, which is being purchased by Bell Tires. Manager Harline.
This ordinance approves a plat of subdivision for the Bell Tires First Villa Park re-subdivision, which is a one-lot subdivision that vacates Ellsworth Avenue right-of-way and establishes required easements. Planning and Zoning Commission gave a unanimous recommendation for approval, and staff recommends approval of this ordinance. As you probably have figured out, this would be give the Bell Tire the ability to move forward with their construction, and this is currently the site of Strat's Restaurant.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion for the ordinance. Trustee Kumar, you have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Cordova, questions or comments? Trustee Kumar.
I would just like to welcome Bell Tire to their second location in town.
Yeah. Nice to see him coming in. Okay. Anyone else? Hey, Clerk Hennecke, please.
Okay, Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Item 12B is an ordinance approving a redevelopment agreement with Marquette Real Estate Investments, LLC, for the Union at 100 to 110 South Villa Avenue. Manager Harline.
This is an ordinance that authorizes a redevelopment agreement for the Union Apartments development located at 100 South Villa Avenue. Within the document, it also establishes terms for purchase and sale of the property to the developer and states that zoning will be granted, bonds will be sold, and permits will be issued. Approval of this ordinance is the approval of the Union development and ensures approval
of subsequent authorizing ordinances. The Economic Development Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the RDA at their January 15th, 2015 meeting. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance, and Community and Economic Development Director Mark McLaughlin is here to answer any questions, including the one posed earlier if necessary. There's an extensive list of requirements on the property owner or the future property owner to get and retain the property. But we also have David Lyon is in the audience, and Trevor Ryan from Ryan McKenna, and then Jeff Dickinson is here if you need any questions answered. Jeff did the SB Freeman analysis of the development for the village, and so if there's any other questions, we're happy to help.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Cordova?
Yep.
Okay, questions or comments? Trustee Kozar?
So, all right, so this is like a 41-page contract that we were given to review, and there's a lot in here. And we're also reviewing this on the heels of what's going on with Hawthorne Development. Hawthorne also took out a bond and they defaulted, and, you know, we all see the pile that's going on there and everything that's working. So, I mean, we have to really pay attention to what we're doing here. And I think part of the problem with Hawthorne is we were under a different manager, different community development director, different attorney. So we still have to learn the lessons that we learned from Hawthorne, and when we look and really look at this. So I ask everybody on the board to really give this some real consideration. We're asking our village, our people in our village, to be on the hook for a $17 million bond. It's a lot of money that they're going to owe. So I have some questions on this contract at large. But my first primary question here is, we just got this contract over the weekend.
No.
Would you like to say something?
That's not accurate. I'm sorry. I won't interrupt
No,
any further.
Go ahead. You've interrupted me now.
Last meeting, I pulled you aside and said, we've sent you the RDA. Now, there have been minor edits in the last couple of days, like there was a attachment that was referenced in the document that had been taken out, so that reference was changed today, but that was not a substantial change. We got you this document over 2 weeks ago, and so because it is such a complicated document, and to give the board time to review this, and that's what I was mentioning to you the other day, just 2 weeks ago at this meeting. I said we sent you the RDA, and you said something about somebody often reads your email for you. So that was that conversation. I understand that in the past you've been very diligent about reading these contracts, and so I tried to get that to you with plenty of time because I know this is a very important project for the village. Sorry, that was rude of me to interrupt. I apologize.
It was. But, so what I was saying was, and I'll rephrase it, the general public only got this attached to the packet over the weekend. And it's only attached to the packet as of this weekend. So let's take a walk through it. And I think that these discussions should be held in public. They shouldn't be held in back rooms and away from our public to hear what questions we might have and what responses we might have. I mean, that's why we have a board meeting. So, future interruptions, I mean, I would ask that you be recognized just like anybody else on the board. If anybody else had done that, I'm sure President Cazone would not have allowed it. So I ask that you just give the board the same respect. First, are we determining that the parking lot spaces are worth $85 million? Is that It's basically $1 million per parking space. 'Cause
I
the-
think that 85 million was the total project, correct? The total project cost.
So that's the total cost
Right.
of
Of
everything.
the total project, yeah.
Okay. How have we reviewed basically proof of funds from the developer? Maybe this is a question that Mark can answer? Like, how do we know that this project is fully funded? Because I think that was one of the mistakes that was made with Hawthorne.
I can comment on the agreement requiring proof of funds being provided. There will be an escrow account that's opened up that will fund the project. Different from the last project that the village board, you've been referencing right now, is that as the funds come in, the village will contribute via the bond money to the project as it's being constructed. So in our previous agreement, the bond money was paid to the developer upfront right away. And that's not happening in this situation right here. There will be a fund that's opened up, and proof of the work and performance of the work will be required via various provisions in our agreement that will authorize the village then to issue the funds to the developer for payment of the project.
Yes.
Okay.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Mark.
So just as a continuation along that, Section 5.1A, closing contingencies, outlines the conversations that staff, including village attorney and the board have had on, we can never do that again, what happened down there. So we have outlined all the requirements before we can get to the closing table, which then is a simultaneous closing of land acquisition, the change, the issuance of a building permit. They've already had the funds to pay for the permit fees, the closing on their construction financing, as well as us putting in that bond. Yep. And now there's things that have to happen, obviously, to get there, but that's a simultaneous, or as close as we possibly can, simultaneous closing. Yeah.
So while we're on that topic, talk to us about how, in the event that they should default or the economy changes and they don't, for whatever reason, continue on with the $85 million project, we've already transferred the title of our property that we're essentially giving to them without cost. We've talked about that clawback provision that needs to be in there. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. In consultation with legal, the furthest that we could go for a clawback was to the closing table. Once we close, we cannot claw back, which is why we wrote the way that we did, that everything was committed financially.
Just a clarification, it's close to that, Mark, but there is a clawback allowance prior to commencement of construction on the project. So that's excavation.
Yeah.
And remediation work on the site. So that is early on in the construction of the project, but that's the farthest the village can go to claw back the property.
Yeah, sorry about that detail. I meant when they started going vertical. So.
Okay. Under provision M here in the whereas portion, it says that the village did not receive any alternate proposals for the redevelopment and the redevelopment of the property.
That's correct.
But the reason for that is because part of the, what was it, 5 letters of intent? We had 5 letters of intent for this that kept
With
going?
them, yep.
One of the provisions of the letter of intent is that we would not market that out there. So abiding by our word, of course, we didn't have any alternative proposals.
I'll let Attorney Wolf, I think she wants to
Just a
answer that.
comment, in the preceding paragraph, it talks about pursuant to a section of the TIF Act, the village was obligated by law to publish, and we did so in a newspaper on January 24th, that this redevelopment agreement was proposed for this property. And part of that publication allowed for invited alternate proposals to come forward so that we, as a mechanism to ensure we're getting the best deal for our TIF district. So that's a requirement of the statute. And that publication did take place on January 24th, and the village did not receive any alternate proposals for this property via that invitation in that publication.
Which sounds good, but that was like a 2-week window.
It was in compliance with this state statute.
I'm not
right.
suggesting that it wasn't, but, I mean, $85 million project, we put it out there for 2 weeks, and we didn't get any proposals back. You know, you can list a $200,000 house for 2 weeks and not get any offers. So, the fact of the matter is, we didn't put it out there for the whole length of time that we had these letters of intent. I'm thinking about Manager Harline's interruption where he was bent on explaining that I've had the redevelopment agreement for 2 weeks. Is there a deadline for this? I mean, that we have to pass it today?
There is not a hard and fast deadline, but there is the perceived deadline that we've created with the relationship with the developer and what they have portrayed to their financiers, that we will move forward tonight with the approval of the RDA, which then has the simultaneous approving after this with the ordinance of approving the plat of subdivision, the zoning, the rights, so they can actually move forward to the next steps of getting that commitment letter on their construction. So, no, but also yes. If we delay, obviously, we're delaying the project, and people that are paying for this start to get worried.
When was that first letter of intent? Do you recall?
First letter of intent.
The first letter of intent was August 26th, 2024, or August 12th, 2024, I apologize.
No, I think it was well before that.
I think it was before that.
It was in like 2000.
Yeah, it was before I was on staff for the original letter of intent.
Right.
We've obviously have amended it, brought forth more time.
Sure.
That kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's complied with those letters of intent. Nobody's suggesting otherwise, but it's taken us 5 years to get to this point.
Sure.
And now, as Manager Harline points out, it was emailed to us 2 weeks ago, but submitted to the public a few days ago. We also have 2 trustees that aren't present here. One called me today and said that she was sick, and it certainly sounded like it in her voice. She sounded like she's got one of those flus that is going around with everybody, and I don't know where our other trustee is. We also had some questions from the residents with regard to nonconformance. I'm not really clear on what that meant, but maybe the developer would like to speak to a reason why it would be difficult if I was to make a motion, which I haven't yet, to review this and come back at the next meeting to be able to vote on it when we have a full board in front of us, considering we're on the hook for the $17 million bond at minimum, and at maximum, just the project at large.
I would say it centers largely around reputational damage that we would experience. We're pretty far out over our skis, as they say, as it relates to securing our capital partners. We have multiple banks that have issued letters of intent. They anticipate us making a decision in the wake of the vote tonight, assuming it would be positive. So I think it would set us back and potentially disrupt business that we have with some of those suitors, so to speak, capital partners. So that's primarily it, trustee. If I could I expand and maybe on how we are different than the other project that's been problematic for the community?
Please, and I do believe that you are. I'm not suggesting that you are Hawthorne. I just
Oh,
want.
no, I know that, but for the benefit of others in the
Yes,
community, since
absolutely.
it's a public forum. And this is Trevor Ryan, one of the principals of Marquette Companies that is with me. I don't have a lot of detail on the other project. I've read a little bit in the press, but what I'd like to do is describe how our capital partners analyze us as they decide whether or not to put $75 to $85 million into this project. One of the first boxes that they have to check, or the questions that they typically ask, is, has the developer built a similar project, similar in scale and type? And in our case, as I think we've shared with you in the past, in past public hearings, Marquette Companies has developed the Mark on Main in Lisle, which is very, very similar in type and scale. And beyond that, Marquette Companies has developed high-rise projects much larger than what we're proposing here in downtown Chicago and downtown Houston. So from our capital partners' perspective, they can check that box. Another question that they ask themselves and ask us is, has the developer financed similar scale projects with viable capital partners? And I think in past presentations, it's a public record, we have shared with you the dozen or so institutional investors, such as pension funds, life insurance companies, et cetera, that have successfully invested with the Marquette Companies on such projects. Another question that they ask is, has the developer completed successful projects using TIF financing as what is proposed for this project? And the answer with Marquette is yes. I think via leadership, the mayor, our president, and maybe Mark and Matt, we have provided you correspondence that came from the village manager of Naperville. And that correspondence indicated, it was written not to us, but to you, to the village. It indicated that, that Marquette Companies has successfully fulfilled its obligations to complete a $90 million Water Street development in Naperville, which also used, just coincidentally, $13.5 million net in bonds, GO bonds that were issued by the city. And I also recall in conclusion, the village manager indicated that the Water Street development has catalyzed the south end of downtown Naperville, bringing additional overall economic benefit to the city as a function of that project. So those are the boxes that our capital partners have to check before they'll invest that $75 to $85 million in this project. So I'm not familiar with that other project, but I just wanted to allow you to then individually and collectively compare and contrast our development team, our project, and our proposed financing to that other project to give you comfort. So,
I think, am I right when that you also manage what is known as the Ovaltine
Yeah.
property?
Yes.
And you carry a 97, 98% rate of occupancy there?
that's
right?
another question the investors ask, right? Because it's right across the street. So the answer is yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And to your credit, I think that's a nice property, and I think that you guys are doing well with that.
Thank you.
I don't want to, discourage this property or this building, but we've been a long time coming to this.
Absolutely.
And I think you knew my feelings when the last letter of intent came up, that we had 4 years where it was basically the same thing, and you wanted some extensions, and then right at the last letter of intent, you said, by the way, we want you to give us the property and give us a $17 million bond where our people are going to be on the hook for it. Our people, meaning the people of Villa Park, are on the hook for it. So I just want to make sure that this contract and this deal is properly scrutinized so that, life happens and business happens. If there's another problem, at least we've done our part on the board, and we haven't just sat up here because we've gotten a 41-page contract and said, sure, okay, let's do it.
I understand completely. And that sort of relates to the gentleman's question about our potential noncompliance or non-performance under that agreement. And, my layman's understanding, I'm not an attorney, but my layman's understanding from a business perspective, if we don't perform, it's a violation of that contract, and the village has rights. Similarly, our capital partners we're on the hook to them. And if we don't perform, they're not going to see their $75 to $80 million go away either. They're going to step in our shoes and make sure it gets done. So I think because of who our capital partners are, these are known risks from past projects, and the risks have been mitigated all around, including from the village's perspective, having worked with Attorney Wolf's firm and our legal firm as that document was being created.
Once we actually start construction on this project, I mean, presuming that it will go, and I'm generally in favor of the project, you know, as it stands, or doesn't stand now, but I mean, as it will. That's going to be a lot of traffic and construction traffic, and then ultimately, it's going to be a lot of vehicle traffic coming in and out on that small section of Villa. I mean, what's your vision of that? How is that area not going to just be overly congested, given the fact that we just opened up our rec center and
We have an application proposed to DuPage County. I hesitate, we haven't finished creating and submitting it. We've had conversations with the engineers of DuPage County who manage the Great Western Trail and the property from the south. So I have to stay high level here. Again, the formal process has not been completed. But again, we've had discussions with the county about approaching construction from the other three sides of the site, or at least two of the sides, to stay away from Wildwood that goes in front of the rec center for that very reason, because of the activity that's created by the rec center usage. So the plan and the goal is to stay clear of that area to the north.
Working with other adjoining property owners too.
Right.
during construction you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay. You said three,
The three east, west, and south borders of the site versus north, which is Wildwood by the rec center.
right,
So really from the south and primarily.
on the other side of the Great Western?
Correct.
Where the little U-shaped area is and the
100%.
Veterans Park is,
Right.
bandstand and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you think you're going to be staging a lot of your construction? and
Not in
then-
the street, but accessing into the site.
Right.
Through there's other property owners in that area, and there's potential for access agreements
Mhm.
around the Pioneer Green and Feed Building.
And then you're saying you're working with the county to be able to go over the Great Western, right, where it basically ends right there?
Correct.
and Has limited traffic anyway?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, for now.
Okay.
We have other.
Attorney Wolf, did you want to say something?
Just in addition to the compliance measures, I mean, throughout the various terms of the agreement and the requirements, identify what provisions can, are required and what can be done in the event of a default. And specifically in Section 12 of the agreement talks about the village's remedies available for a default that include requiring specific performance, but also importantly includes if we have to enforce the agreement that we, the prevailing party can get their attorney's fees. And that is something that is different from the other agreement. There was no such provision in there with respect to that. So our enforcement measures are a lot stronger in this agreement than in the prior agreement.
Yep. And I just want to, I know Attorney Wolf and her firm have been really concentrating on those kinds of sections of the agreement to make sure that the village is covered. And I know there's been a good back and forth with the developer. I know there were some of the issues that they wanted out that our legal said, no, they had to stay in there. So this has been a very well designed agreement, at least from what I've seen in dealing with the manager and with director and with legal, that it's very well thought out, and I think the village is definitely going to be protected on this, from what I've seen.
And I don't know if I
Yeah,
can
go
speak,
ahead. Go ahead.
But I understand, Jack, that it sounds like you've not had a great deal of time to review this yourself, but we took a couple extra months from the original timeline from when we were in here to make sure that the right care was put into this agreement. I think both sides worked really well together. I know several days they spent turning, page by page and working through every line from both perspectives to try to mutually get to this agreement in its current form. I appreciate all the work that went into that. So I know I just didn't want there to be a misperception that there wasn't a lot of care and thought and time put into the agreement over several months versus, I know you haven't gotten to read every piece of that. And then I know you're speaking from the village's standpoint about the trust aspect, and I think that when you approach a project like this, we all have to have a little bit of that, and you have everything in these agreements that hopefully some of what's written in there never needs to be pulled out and utilized, but it's there for our joint protections. In today's economic environment, capital is challenging. The debt market seems to be coming back, especially for projects that make sense like this one. And we have quite a few term sheets like David alluded to. But one thing that you can't negotiate out of unless we go to some really high risk, high cost capital is we're going to be on the hook no matter what for completion guarantees. We're going to have to negotiate what additional recourse goes beyond that, but the completion guarantee carries a lot of teeth to it. So in addition to all the protection you have under the agreement, the lender is going to have a lot of rights in the loan document. We're pursuing $45 to $50 million of construction financing, plus we'll have $25 to $30 million of equity, plus the money that's coming in here. And it doesn't just, you don't just, like your attorney shared, you don't just give us the money. I mean, we have to put in our own equity before the loan even funds a dollar, and we can only use the public money for the specified uses that are allowable to use the public money for. So all the other stuff has to be financed through private capital, and it goes through a title company draw process, and we have to submit all the backup and proof of what's been spent, and all that work is already done before it's paid for. So it all happens 30 to 60 days after that actual work is accomplished. And I can't promise you that we're not going to run into any challenges because there's always, I think, surprises as a developer. We're going through a challenging one in Houston right now where we had a contractor with 40 years of experience and a flawless track record that they took on more than they could handle at a really tough time, and they tried to hide it, and they ended up stealing from different jobs to help cover things until it kind of became apparent. So a couple big public companies and ourselves are going through that. We were fortunately far enough along that we ended up hiring our own supervisors, and we're stepping in as the GC. We interviewed other GCs, and it was going to be too difficult, and so we're taking that on. We have that expertise in-house. We had to staff up for it, and we're working through it, and we probably did lose 60 days and a little bit of money doing it, but we're gonna get through. We're gonna open up this spring, and it's shaping up to be a great project. So I'm hopeful we're not gonna have that challenge here, but I'm sure we're gonna have some kind of challenge that we're gonna have to navigate. And we have a good track record of delivering on time, and it's really critical here that we start, like our original date was starting this month, and it's a 20-month build. And so like you finish at the end of the fourth quarter, you get all your leasing in place and your sales process organized, and you're fully going in the start of the leasing season, which tends to start, a lot of times it's like for sale, like you said, after the Super Bowl. Spring starts to waken up. It really isn't until kind of March, April that the leasing velocity really kicks in. But if we do get delayed, then, and we deliver too late, like if you deliver a project in summer or into third quarter, then you just hit your stride and you enter the slow time when nobody's signing new leases, and then you sit until spring, and that really is detrimental to the project. So like, from our standpoint, we'd like to go we don't want to rush anything unnecessarily, but we'd like to go as fast as we can, and what's being held up is that we've got a couple $1 million to spend to get to the critical date that we all have the simultaneous closing, and those dollars are being held up because right now the equity capital is not as loose as it used to be, in that you pick up the phone and they go, is your project shovel ready? You say, oh, we have to get through this hurdle and this hurdle, and they'll call me back. You know, like, so they're just turning you away unless your project's ready to go, and usually enter into a cost-sharing agreement where they come on for some portion of those pre-construction costs. So right now, we've got almost $1 million into this project, and we have to spend $2 million more to get to the closing. And so our architects are kind of waiting for a phone call tomorrow, and our engineers are waiting, and the debt participants are waiting, and certainly we can delay that again if that's what's needed to do to look at that. But we'd be happy to sit here and answer anything we can if we want to go through that agreement again. If that's the best use of time, we're more than happy to do that, to make sure you feel confident that your concerns are covered.
And I will say, I mean, throughout this process, you guys have been available for questions, conversation. I know I've seen you.
Anytime, Charlie.
I'm not going to say that.
Just being confused as part of the
Right.
staff.
So you certainly haven't been absent. But does anybody else on the board have any concerns that we're missing two other trustees? And we're
Yes.
putting a large deal like this together?
Trustee Cordova.
I do not. I'm ready to get this moving. I'm excited to get this project moving. I feel that this is a catalyst for a reinvigorated Villa Park. Just to rewind, when I first got here as a trustee, one of the first people that I got to meet was David. He reached out and said, "Hey, we're trying to work on a project here in Villa Park." And I came in, I met with David as well as Manager Harline. That was the first time I met David. Fast forward, we had Ann Rekaloff came in, I believe, in like June, and gave us the overview of what Marquette was. You guys, I went to Mark on Main. That place is beautiful. That was about the time that Ovaltine came through, and you guys were kind of running that a little bit before that. Learned about 15,000 units in 8 states, another 1,800 units coming in from 6 new developments that were in your pipeline. Those were those things that I got to learn last year. Just this past week, we had an email that came through from Manager Harline that said, "Hey, we have a couple big items on our agenda. Would you like to meet?" And I said, absolutely. And I got to meet David last week along with Mark, and I had 100 questions. I asked questions about risk. I asked how we're able to get out of this if we needed to. Asked about how we can, how this is different, just like the question that Trustee Kozar had. How is this different than Hawthorne? And after going through those and understanding and kind of reading what I could understand from this 40-plus page document, I am 100% behind this and not delaying it at all. You guys have been absolute professionals. We have our, Freeman back there that has also stamped it through. We have our attorney here that has a wonderful law firm or a law group that has also gone through this. We have absolute pros here. Mark has done a wonderful job of getting this through, changing what we need to do on our side so we are protected differently than what we've seen already. So this here is a very, very huge opportunity for us. I do not think we should delay it. We should get moving as soon as possible tonight.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
Yeah, I am, I had similar concerns, coming into this meeting as did Jack, because this is a big deal, certainly. However, as I do see, this, particular firm has been very forthright in their process, which to me, symbolizes a certain amount of trust, whereas from the beginning, the firm we're talking about, you can't compare apples and oranges. It is not fair to paint everyone by the same brush because we've been burned by one brush. And because we have been burned, we have been quite diligent in our contracting methodology, are going over the process, even maybe tougher than we normally would have been if that other firm wasn't building or trying to build and all the trouble we went through. So a lot of it has been even tougher than we normally would be. And I do like the fact that the main thing is the bond will be released in a slow manner as to ensure that we have some safety precaution, which in the previous project was not an aspect that was taken care of. Of course, I also have the concerns that, again, which is similar to the old project, that we are giving off a piece of land and there is a clawback issue that may occur, but I still have more confidence, almost 98% more confidence in this firm versus the other firm at this point. And there has been much more information coming out. So I would like to vote this through today. I do miss Jack and Carrie, obviously, and they give a lot to our board, and their input would always be valuable, but time and circumstances, next week, I could be the one out who's sick, and, Jack is busy with work. We don't know what his schedule is going to be, and it could go week after week. So I don't think I would want to wait just to keep them here. Though I really value both their opinion on this. I feel that they have voted for this in the past, and there is, has anybody heard, or the manager heard anything to the accord that they, or the president heard to the accord that they have misgivings with regards to this project? That's what I would ask.
I haven't really heard too much from trustee Alfano, but I know trustee Corkery is really for this. He's really in favor of it.
And-
Especially, I
and
think we've
has
spoken
staff
a couple
Heard
times. and-
similar, yes, okay.
Just regarding, for full disclosure, trustee Alfano called me with a question on the traffic study this morning.
Morning.
And I was able to answer that. I did not expect her to not be here after that question. So I didn't ask her, what are you in favor or not? But I answered a question regarding a traffic
Trustee
study.
Alfano works with kids every day, and anything can happen at any time. And, I hope she feels better at this point. That's all I can say.
Generating kids.
She's
Okay.
definitely a very diligent trustee, and anything she says is very valuable to me. And so the traffic aspect is there, but it looks like that we should vote at this point.
Trustee Patrick?
Thank you. I will say that working with Marquette, as opposed to the other developer, has been way more pleasant. You have been on top of things, and I've seen that. I was able to meet with Director McLaughlin, and I appreciate that as well for keeping me up to speed on the RDA and the project itself. And in those conversations that I had with him, made me very comfortable with the differences between the two projects. I think we had a lot of learning lessons from that other project, and that was taken into consideration by staff and by Mark. And in doing so, reached out so that way we could have this meeting and have an understanding about those differences. This is a project that is vital to Villa Park. This is really going to shape our future. It is important. And like you had already mentioned, the only major issue that I heard was talking about the traffic. And that is a concern, and our residents have every right to be concerned about how that's going to impact their day-to-day. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when this project is complete, it's going to be extremely beneficial for Villa Park. I'm happy moving forward with this tonight.
Thank you. Okay. Who else? Trustee Kumar?
And with regards to the traffic, I really appreciated your description of going and how you're going to possibly address it. I know it's not written in stone at this point, but how you're going to possibly address it. I appreciated the forethought in thinking about that construction mechanism, our new Villa Park Recreation Center, and allowing our residents to still access that fully and comfortably while that construction is going on. And so I just want to mention that I appreciate that forethought. Thank you.
So I have two more comments. It dawned on me as you were discussing it, that plan is actually an exhibit to the agreement, so you have a copy of it. I was being reluctant to give details, but you have it. So it shows how we're going to prevent disruption of not only the rec center, but all the Tri-Trail project, the whole kit and caboodle. And then the second thing I'd like to say, it won't be the last, if you approve this, it won't be the last you see of me, because also within the agreement is required regular correspondence and updates, which will take pleasure in, believe me. So I look forward, if you approve this today, coming before you again, obviously the staff as well, and reporting on our progress and asking or answering any questions that you may have, and being a good business citizen of Villa Park. I look forward to that.
Quick question, I know you had a timeline in here, your construction. If this gets passed tonight, when do you think you'll have a groundbreaking there?
On or before June, the month of June, possibly before. We are trying to coordinate with ComEd and moving the power lines. So you'll likely see that first, but again, we'll be providing updates regularly so that we can coordinate a big party.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Did you want to say something?
I just want to say that there has been a tremendous amount of work that's gone into this, not just the gentlemen from the developers, but Brian Baugh and Melissa Wolf, who have written and reviewed this, Jeff Dickinson in the back of the room, who has reviewed this extensively to make sure it makes sense and that our contribution is necessary. Anthony, and Jeff is with SB Freeman. Also, Emma Bonanno, okay. Because Emma Bonanno, Anthony Maselli with Spear Financial. We also brought in early our bond counsel during the project, Kent Floros and Kelly Koss from Chapman Cutler, to make sure that nothing went into the RDA that was going to be a problem when we went to sell bonds, that we didn't do anything that would be problematic with maintaining the tax-free status of these bonds. And then, of course, Mark McLaughlin, who was trying to do a lot, almost exactly what we're doing now in April. And we really thought we could get it done before the end of the year. And so, we've tried to get a finalized RDA, and people called in on vacations, people, including Brian Baugh on a couple occasions. And so, we really tried to get this information out as quickly as possible, send it in an email to the board, a couple of weeks ago, on the 24th of January, and I asked for questions at that time, and then, specifically I asked a couple of members who I know are very interested and very smart about these sort of things, if they had any questions. Sent another email out this Thursday, posted it on the website Wednesday, and I apologize for my unprofessional interruption, but if you know how much I pressed Cheryl to get this posted on the website by Wednesday to give people a little bit extra time to see it, we really try and get this information out. Now, this is a complicated arrangement, and, we have some really smart people who have looked at this from both sides, and it's hard to find, the public certainly needs to, and has had a chance to express concerns about the general, whether 7 stories is too high, that past planning and zoning, whether or not this is an appropriate place, that has also been vetted through the regular zoning process, and whether mixed use. I know that they've actually actively sought a restaurant to go into this, onto the first floor, the developers, that is. So I really appreciate hearing from the board that you're considering moving forward on this. One of the things is that it goes to the confidence of the lenders, and this is something that David is being very nice about tonight, but I've gotten several phone calls encouraging us to get this as moving as quickly as possible. That's why I tried to get this document in your hands as soon as possible, but it is a very complex document, and that's why you have these, we hired these people to make these recommendations, and I am really excited if we can move forward on this tonight. Look forward to you seeing a transformative project on Villa Avenue.
Absolutely. Okay. Hey, Clerk Henneke, please.
Okay, trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, and we will move on to item 12C, which is also part of this. It's an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, approving a zoning map amendment, special use for a planned unit development final plat of subdivision and vacating a right-of-way for the property located at 100 to 110 South Villa Avenue in Villa Park. Manager Harline.
Back to the proper spot on the agenda. Thank you. This is an ordinance approving a zoning map amendment to the MX2 district, a special use for a planned development, and a plat of subdivision with a vacation of the public right-of-way located at 100 South Villa for the development known as the Union. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval at their June 13, 2024 meeting. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for 12C? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Cordova? Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. That passes, and guys, get going.
Great job, guys. That's huge.
Okay, move on to item 13, resolutions. Item 13A is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the lease of certain vehicles in accordance with the master lease equity agreement with Enterprise FM Trust. Manager Harline.
This resolution authorizes the village manager to execute vehicle lease agreements with Enterprise Fleet Management in accordance with the master equity lease agreement that was approved in July of 2023. As part of the village plan for vehicle replacements in 2025, the staff is proposing leasing 2 Ford Escapes, 3 Police Interceptor Utility, and 1 F-150 Police Responder this fiscal year. These vehicles will replace 3 frontline police squads, 1 police administration vehicle, 1 public works fleet vehicle, and 1 engineering vehicle. These 6 vehicles will increase the monthly lease payment to Enterprise by $5,219.85. Once these vehicles are received, the village will look to auction off 6 corresponding vehicles. Staff recommends approval so the village can receive these vehicles this year and be placed into our fleet. We have recommended that we auction them off because the cost, if we have Enterprise do this, is about $400. The vehicles that we're getting rid of we anticipate so little return on them because they're fairly old that the $500 or the auction on our own is probably the best course of action to go with. And Public Works Director Michael Guerra is here if you have any additional questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Cordova? Do we have a second? Trustee Kumar? Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, item 13A is a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement for participation in the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network, IPWMAN. Manager Harline.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the village president to execute the revised intergovernmental agreement for participation in the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network, IPWMAN. This network is a listing of Illinois municipal agencies that will provide public works assistance to other local agencies in times of need. Villa Park was one of the initial participants in the network that has received and offered aid multiple times since IPWMAN's creation in 2009. Recently, the IPWMAN Board of Directors approved a revised bylaws requiring local agencies to re-enter into a new intergovernmental agreement if they wish to continue participating. Due to the important need for assistance during times of need, staff recommends approval of the IGA. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, we have a second. Trustee Cordova? Okay, questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, item 14, unfinished business. I do not believe we have any. Item 15, any new business? Okay, seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Kozar.
I don't know if it's technically new business, but a couple times I have requested, including in your review and executive session, that we have quarterly financial reports. The first quarter the fourth quarter is well over. We're now in the second month. When can we anticipate having those?
Do you want to? Okay.
We talked about.
Yeah. I believe that we should have a report at the February meeting that will cover January of this year, and we can get the fourth quarter of last year. We are, of course, I think we are in the midst of moving our data from our old software to our new software, so getting a report out will be very easy soon, and we believe by the end of the week we should be able to do that. But this will be out, the new report will be out of the new software by BSNA, and we should be able to do monthly reports at that point, which is what is the expectation of this board. So I apologize for not having, I thought I had sent that out earlier, but that is our intent, is to get one in the February 24th meeting.
Okay, so all of that just whittled down. Next meeting, we'll have a report on the fourth quarter.
And January.
And hopefully January.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we have no commissions report. Commission reports, village clerk's report.
No report, thank you.
Okay. Go to our trustees report. Start at trustee Patrick.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in Villa Park. I just have a few things that I'd like to say. First of all, a couple weeks ago, we had our coffee with the board. I want to thank everybody that came out to that. It's a good opportunity for residents to talk with the elected officials here in town. If you have questions or answers, really good discussion, so thank you for coming out there. I'd also like to thank Jackson Middle School for hosting the solo ensembles over the last weekend for a lot of the different school districts here in Villa Park. That was a great time as well. Couple other things is we have Commissioner J.P. Hochbaum, who recently, earlier today, talked about the snowstorm that's coming and why it's important to get out there, help your neighbors and things of that matter. But also, let's help our fire department. If we get 8 inches of snow, make sure that we are finding these fire hydrants that are outside of our homes or on our block and get a nice good 4-foot circle around those fire hydrants. If there's ever an emergency, they are the first ones there, and if there's snow all over it, they have to clear the snow before they can attend to the emergency. So it just helps them so much more. So let's get out there and do that. And lastly, well, second to last, Valentine's Day is coming up, so don't forget. And then lastly now, I just wanted to thank our first responders again, our police and our firefighters. I totally respect you guys a lot. You guys really put a lot on the line every single day to make sure that we are safe, and everybody in town that I talk to has nothing but good praises to say about you guys. We do have the best departments in the state. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Cordova.
We made a really big decision today to move forward with Marquette and this huge project that we're going to have. Again, it's going to transform the look and feel of Villa Park. I'm really, really excited about this, and I'd love to thank everyone that was involved. But this development and developments like the Union are going to bring a new energy. They're going to have economic growth and just overall opportunity for our community. So again, thank you to staff. Thank you to our partners. Thank you to our attorneys. Thank you to everyone, and especially this board for doing that. So you know, the growth that we're going to see here that's the catalyst. So it's just going to be different. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kozar.
Sure. So, with respect to the people of Villa Park and with respect to all that serve Villa Park, I want it known as your trustee that I stand for the truth. When we pledge allegiance to our flag, we pledge to be one nation under God and indivisible with liberty and justice for all. This is not just a pledge, it's an oath and a promise. As we sit up here on the dais, we represent our people of Villa Park. For 4 years, there are those on this dais that have fought with me for honesty and truth, and have done so because our people deserve it. We are now 50 days away from an election that will happen on April 1st that will decide 3 trustees, a clerk, and 1 president. But this election has entered a dishonorable phase. Cowardly fake social media profiles making up cowardly fake stories And these cowardly fake profiles have been submitting FOIAs. And these cowardly fake profiles have been badgering members of our fire department. A fake profile is a lie. It is untruthful and it is dishonorable to the people of Villa Park who deserve better. Whoever wins this presidential election must be trustworthy, honorable, and honest.
I just need to,
I'm not
you know,
campaigning here.
this is not the appropriate platform. With respect to the comments regarding the FOIAs and the management of the FOIAs, you absolutely can convey that information here. But with respect to election-related matters, this venue and this location is not the appropriate location for that. So if I could just direct that you keep your comments related to the public business of the Village of Villa Park. As I said, anything related to the FOIA, if you'd like to talk about that, that is public business of the Village of Villa Park. But with respect to matters related to the election, this is not the appropriate venue for that.
So as I was saying, it is the role of our president to lead our board, to foster dialogue, to make sure that the trustees are given truthful, timely, and accurate information, and to make sure that we have unbiased and accurate legal counsel. Our president should be a unifier. This business of Craig Wilkins, Jack Gordon, and the other cowardly fake profiles is a form of lying and deceit. As the campaigns progress, let us all remember on the board that we must be able to work together for the good of our people in Villa Park. The people of Villa Park deserve as much. If you have something to say, then say it from your own words, not hidden behind cowardly fake profiles. If there's any question to whom I'm referring, it's your campaign, Jorge Cordova. Stop this nonsense and act truthfully and with honor to the
Again,
people of Villa Park.
You're talking about a campaign
Right.
that is clearly not
I'm done
village
with my
business.
comments. It is
That
truth.
it's-
I will always stand up for the truth.
That's fine. This is not the venue to convey campaign information, campaign-related information. This isn't a venue purely for village business.
I will always stand for the truth.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
Well, I'm going to switch back to Valentine's Day, a more positive topic, and that I would like to say Happy Valentine's Day to my family, everybody. Reach out to your loved ones, and I'll start with that. And then I have a positive comment that came about our rec center that I want to read out, that says, it came from a nearby neighbor that said, I have to tell you that I am so thankful for the rec center. After my dad had cancer, he'd been super depressed and very sedentary and struggling to walk short distances without taking a break. Like he's having a hard time walking from his car to the front of the grocery store. I got him and my mom memberships to the rec center, and they have been doing great. My mom's been walking a couple miles every day, and my dad has increased his laps from 2 laps to 7 laps. He takes breaks between the laps, and my mom keeps walking. And I think that commentary tells us what Villa Park is. It's about care, and we're very fortunate to have the new rec center and to give those opportunities to the people around. I just wanted to read that out as a testament to what we've done the last 4 years, what's being done with the rec center, and thank all the people who were involved in putting it together, because that's what we need. We need activities and stuff in Villa Park that allow for goodness to come out. And that's pretty much what I wanted to end with.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we come to the village president's report. A couple of items. I was at a DuPage mayor's meeting last week, and Michelle Santori from the West Suburban Foundation for Disabled Veterans was there. She was speaking on behalf of the 22,000 veterans that we have in DuPage County. Particularly, many of them are disabled. And on July 12th, 2025, at Cantini in Winfield, Wheaton area, the WSFDV is having a Rocking for Our Vets event, and Gary Sinise's band will be there. She was saying that this is very unusual. He usually goes to big venues, and it's very unusual that he's going to be there. But the tickets are on sale. You can go to their website, wsfdv.org. It's July 12th, 2025. I believe the tickets are $50 each, and there'll be food trucks available. There'll be off-site parking with transportation back and forth to Cantini. So this will be a very good event, showcasing Cantini, but also showcasing our disabled veterans in Villa Park. Again, the website is wsfdv.org. And last week, I was also at a meeting with DuPage County Chair Deb Conroy and also Bob Berlin, DuPage County Attorney General, speaking of some of the statistics, the crime statistics in DuPage County in the last year, and likely due to the Safety Act, which a lot of people were against when this first came out, and they made some changes to it. And there are still a couple of changes that need to be made, but Attorney General Berlin was saying that looks like in the last 12 months that felonies are down almost 5%, aggravated fleeing's down about 7%, unlawful use of a weapon by a felon are down almost 20%, aggravated batteries down about 20%. But the only statistic that is up in DuPage County is burglary, which I think a lot of people have seen at a lot of local stores, especially like Oak Brook, where there's a lot of retail theft. But good thing is DuPage County is becoming safer. Our police officers are doing a great job. Law enforcement's working together. DuPage County with Cook County, which is a good thing. Attorney Berlin did say that in the last month with the new Cook County Attorney General, he's spoken to her more than in the last month than he did in like the 4 years that the previous one was there. So it's good to see all this cooperation from our law enforcement. So thank you, Chief, and thank you to all our guys out there that are protecting us and stay safe. The only other thing is the 15th of February will be electronic recycling here, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, right here by the Public Works Building. You have to be a resident and show your ID, but they'll take pretty much anything that's electronic. And with that, we'll go to the village manager's report.
Just a couple of things. First of all, we'll be coming out with our first monthly report for the meeting, or at the same time, although in a separate email, with the packet for February 24th. The monthly report will probably come out the Friday before. We will continue to try when we can to get the packet out on the preceding Wednesday as requested by this staff. We typically try and send out just the draft of what the topics were on Monday, try to get the first draft of the packet out on Wednesday, and then we have minutes and other things we usually add again on Friday. So if we have slipped to Thursday on several occasions. But this monthly report will be some of the information we were giving you on a weekly basis, but with more depth and a little bit more comparison, so it will have a little bit more context. I also had the honor to attend the annual meeting of the police department last Tuesday. What a great crew. Trustee Patrick is entirely correct when he talks about how wonderful a department we have. Just neat to see some of this. They give out awards for some of the most complicated cases and calls, and it was just getting a reminder of all the things you guys have done over the past year. It was great. And finally, we are part of the project to move forward on 100 South Villa will be to demolish the building that held, among other things, its last hurrah was Cherokee Rose Embroidery. The State Historical Preservation Office wishes us to do a mitigation, basically collecting history about the building before it's demolished. So one of the ways we're going to do that is collect information at a meeting on a week from tomorrow, February 18th at 6 p.m. in the Villa Park recreation center multipurpose room. And so if you have anything you want to let us know about your memories of it, particularly in the automotive industry, they wanted to collect that. Since the building will be gone, at least collecting some information about it will mitigate the loss to the village. So, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay. No executive session tonight, so we have a motion to adjourn. Trustee Kumar, do we have a second?
A second.
Trustee Cordova, okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are closed, and we will be back here on the 24th. So, you guys, everyone have a happy and safe Valentine's Day.